This is a really good rework for Miles, but there is just a glaring weakness to this rework that makes his value quite niche. He feels, you know what, in a lot of ways, he feels like Scarlet Spider. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we get our first look at the new Miles Morales Absolute Carnage uniform. And visually speaking, this uniform is beautiful. The animations are really cool, and it's very transformative for Miles because it turns him into a villain. It turns him into a combat type. It does a lot for him to transform the character, but as you can see, the uniform definitely has some limitations. So we just got a 20,000 HP heal there. But yeah, basically the problem with Miles' uniform is there's no defense. Like many of the other symbiotes, what Miles, you know, makes up for in damage or whatever, he severely lacks in survivability. Now, he does have two long iframes. 5 and 4 are super long iframes, and you can just straight up chain them. So I can just sit here all day going 5-4, 5-4, 5-4. The targeting on 4 is good. The targeting on 5 is godly. If you press 5, he will follow the enemy to the ends of the earth. I've seen him go maybe halfway across this screen, this arena, following Quicksilver when Quicksilver moves around. So as far as targeting goes, you can see that it's very, very good. And as far as chaining these two attacks and getting basically infinite iframes, it's excellent. And so Quicksilver's doing nothing, but you know who else is doing nothing? Miles Morales. Despite having 120% increased damage against supervillains, having a 60% physical attack leadership from Crescent, having a 180% damage proc, Obelisk, and having Taskmaster's 45% increased damage against heroes, which is stacking on his 120, plus the CTP of Insight on Taskmaster, he's still not able to do. That was stage 79. Now, stage 79 is very, very high, but keep in mind, he's a combat type, which means he's going to deal extra damage to speed types. I also have his rank 4 type enhancement, which means he's doing an additional 50% on top of everything. He's got a crit damage 180 proc with the buffs on Doppelganger Frenzy. He's got capped crit rate and capped crit damage, 72% dodge, almost 29,000 physical attack, which then gets bumped by 60% because of Crescent. And he's got 4 and 5 star Uru. But still, even with all that, oh, and then of course Ultimate Spider, right? 120% increased damage to heroes. He can't do stage 79. Maybe he can do it with a rage, but that's because he's fighting heroes, right? If you take him against other world bosses here, we're going to go down to stage 60, and we're going to use this team up here with Valkyrie, because Valkyrie is going to give us more damage against villains, and Valkyrie also has a CTP of Insight. Check it out here. And this is really the problem with Miles, that it seems like all of the symbiotes except for Venom have this problem where they don't have any protection. I don't know why this is the theme for the symbiotes, like no immunity, no invincibility, but it's a really bad theme. It's a terrible theme, and I really hope that Null and Carnage, if they're gonna become playable characters, like if Carnage is gonna get a uniform, I really hope they don't continue this trend. And I actually really hope they reverse this trend and then just go and give Scream and Miles some kind of immunity or invincibility. It doesn't have to be very long, but I mean, Scream has 4 seconds of invincibility on her 5th skill, actually, but just 1 skill, right? So Scream has 1 skill with invincibility, that's it. Gwenom has 1 skill with a guard hit, and that's it. And then Miles has nothing. No guard hit, no invincibility, no immunity, nothing. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, you can see his damage is, when you pop 3, you get 5 seconds of all defense down, which is nice. It's really nice. You actually want to pop 3 right before 5. So what you want to do is, you know, 5-4, and then at the end of 4, you want to do 3, and then quickly cancel that into 5. And as you can see, the tracking on 5 is really good, right? Like I said, he follows the boss to the ends of the earth. But you know what happens when you're in between 5 and when you're in between 4 and 3, or 4 and 5, and you do 3? If he doesn't dodge that hit, guess what happens? With 44,000 HP and less than 10k defense, guess what happens to Miles Morales? He dies. So I have 72% dodge, not by accident, by design. I used a whole bunch of uniform XP chips on purpose to get this bad boy up to as close to cap as I could. because he desperately needs it. Now, his third skill's really good. It adds all defense down, and it continues, right? It lingers. So he may be a good character for a one-shot, or he may be a good character for setting up a one-shot. But the problem is, with no defensive abilities, no damage reduction, he can't survive getting one-shotted. So you're basically just playing a game of chicken. If you don't get hit, he can do the stage. But as soon as you get hit, I just popped for 20k because I got hit. That was really lucky. But as soon as he gets hit, he's gonna die. And that means you can't go to a very high stage because Proxima deals more and more, all the world bosses deal more and more damage, right? I mean, listen, this is a really good rework for Miles, but there is just a glaring weakness to this rework that makes his value quite niche. He feels, you know what, in a lot of ways, he feels like Scarlet Spider. Very much like Scarlet Spider. And I hope it's not the devs' intention to make a lot of the recent free-to-play characters and free-to-play reworks have very few defensive skills, like with immunity and invincibility. They've been very generous to some free-to-play characters, like Venom. I think Venom has immunity and invincibility, right? He's got immunity there, and he's got invincibility there. And they've been really nice. They've been really generous to, Red Hulk and Moon Knight and Black Bolt and Medusa. But Scarlet Spider, Gwenom, Scream, and Miles Morales, across those 4 characters, you have 2 skills with guard hit and 1 invincibility skill. That's bananas. That's incredibly low. And so I see this pattern, and I'm like, what's the point, guys? If you're gonna make them so susceptible, if you're gonna make them so fragile, right? She's got 4 seconds of invincibility, and that's it. If you're gonna make them so fragile, then give them a skill, give them a crowd control skill, right? If you're not gonna give them immunity or invincibility, that's fine. But then you gotta give them paralysis, especially for someone like Miles, who has Venom. He has the Venom Shock skill, and that's lightning damage. That should paralyze the enemies, right? And so for someone like Morbius, he doesn't have immunity or invincibility, but instead he's got that 2-second paralysis. That really helps on top of the 3-second charm. That really, really helps, right? It's sort of one or the other. You got to do it that way. So what I want to do now is, even though Miles has a much more offensive build than Kamala Khan, I want to compare them, because Kamala, like Miles, is a character that was a speed type, reworked into a combat type, who also got a lot of buffs, and also got like very similar buffs, and also minus 50% all defense down. So this is the thing here. She actually has minus 50% on multiple skills, so you can stack it up more quickly. But she also has, on top of that, on top of having all defense down and buffs like Miles, and almost the exact same heal as Miles, she also has 5 seconds of immunity and a guard hit, right? An 8 guard hit. So she basically has everything that Miles has besides the tags that he has, right? She's not a Spider Sense character. She's not a Venomverse character, or whatever it's called, symbiote. And then she doesn't have the increased damage to heroes. Those are the only things that she's missing. But on the flip side, she's way easier to play. Way, way, way easier to play. Way less risky to play. Way less risky to play. So yeah, for the Miles uniform, you should definitely be saving until Black Friday anyways. You shouldn't be picking up his uniform now, because there's basically no point unless you're an absolute diehard Miles Morales fan. But like, let's just check this out. So we're gonna do 3 for the buffs, then we're gonna do 5. We're gonna stack the all defense down, then we're gonna do 4 more all defense down. All right, so here's the thing with her damage. It's not very good because she doesn't have a damage proc. But as you can see, like, I'm never gonna take damage. She actually is not that far off from Miles, right? And unlike Miles, who only has 5 seconds of all defense down, she stacks the all defense down for the entire fight, because it's 10 seconds and she's constantly stacking it. The one plus for Miles, maybe his damage is a little bit higher than Kamala's, but to be fair, he has a 180% damage proc. She's got a CTP of regeneration. But I just wanted to sort of put these characters side by side, because you have a character here on the one hand who can face tank attacks, right? And is so easy to play and very free to play friendly. And her uniform also costs 1,000 crystals, right? I'm pretty sure with a damage proc, she'll be doing as much, if not more damage than Miles. I'm pretty sure. Because in a minute, she got down to like, what, 12, half 12? How fast does Miles get down to half 12? In a minute? Let's check this out again. So basically, if you want to make Miles work, you're going to need to bring in a mind control striker like Rachel Summers. You could bring in Scarlet Witch because his all defense down is not that great. You could also bring in other all defense down characters who are better than Miles because his is only 50%. But yeah, he's definitely more damage than she is, than Kamala. But the thing is, it's just so risky. Like there, see, I just took half my HP and damage. Did we miss the proc on 5? Yeah, we just proc on 4. So really good tracking on 5, but you know, it just feels like a very fragile character that we don't really need any more of these types. I mean, it's an interesting design. You may even want to use someone like yeah, see, just got one-shotted. You may even want to use someone like Colossus. I did have some success using Colossus as a support because it reduces the damage he takes by 50% from villains and heroes, which is basically everyone. But man, I'm just not really sure what Miles is supposed to do right now in the game. Like, what's his role besides, like, he could obliterate Shadowland. He will obliterate Shadowland stages. And he's obviously the best leadership in the game for Carnage, but Carnage needs to get a uniform in order for him to be good. So you can't insta cancel 5. You can sort of insta cancel it, but you kind of need to wait. You gotta wait for him to do that roar. If he doesn't do that roar, then you miss out on the webbing, and then you miss out on the all defense down. Like here, I'll show you if I just insta cancel it. See, if you just insta cancel it, nothing happens. So you actually do have to wait a little bit. And as you can see, without the all defense down, his damage is very pedestrian. So yeah, another uniform that I think is there. He just took a whole bunch of damage. Another uniform that I think is not really finished. This definitely feels unfinished to me. There, he's one-shotted again. So this is basically what's going to happen to you. You're going to play with him and you're going to get lucky, or you're going to get one-shotted. And that's really annoying. That's really annoying and really frustrating in 2020 with all these characters. Maybe he has one-shot potential a la Scarlet Spider, but we'll have to see because unlike Scarlet Spider, he doesn't have a support buff. You know how Scarlet Spider can basically stack multiple support buffs because he himself is a support. And then he has the White Fox leadership buff as well. I believe his... Oh, it's also 50%. Okay. Well, yeah. But you can also cancel his 4th skill. Maybe. You know, maybe. But you know what? Miles doesn't have the thing. But maybe he can one-shot. Maybe Miles can one-shot with, I don't know, Dr. Voodoo Lead or something like that against Quicksilver with Weapon Hex. Maybe he can one-shot. I'm not saying that he can't one-shot. But... yeah, I'm just not very impressed. He may have some value for PvP, to be honest with you. It'd be nicer if this passive also had the debuff cleanse the way that Kamala's has, because hers has the same heal with the same cooldown, but it also has 4 seconds of remove debuff, which is so good for PvP. But yeah, so he kind of just feels like a worse version of Kamala, you know, a higher damage but less survivability version of Kamala. With fewer options and fewer buffs. So yeah, if he retained the damage to villains and then he also had the damage to heroes, if he had both, then it could be a different story. But because he lost the damage to villains, his role shrinks because there's not that many heroes to fight except for PvP. He can kill Jean Grey's in PvP because of the damage bump that he has, sort of like Red Skull. But yeah, I'm just not really sure. I'm gonna practice with him more. This is like a first impressions video, but yeah, hit me up in the comments if you've got a better you know, strategy, team up, whatever kind of build for Miles, or if you think that he's better suited to other content that I haven't touched on yet. But right now, yeah, I would say Quicksilver World Boss is probably his best bet, which is not that great to begin with because of the cap on the mutant materials. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.